Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Facebook Live on February 3rd, year 2021. Welcome. I'm here with almost every person on our panel today, except for Caesar. Caesar is missing, but I'm sure there he is.
Ah,
Talk about Caesar, and there he is. What a manifestation, right? Okay, so I'll start with the introduction of the panel real quick. Everybody knows Travis. He's a musician and a spiritual teacher. Welcome, Travis. We have April with us, who is a psychic and a medium and a spiritual teacher. Welcome, April. And then Louise, our one and only author here and spiritual teacher. Welcome, Louise. Glad to have you back in person, not virtual. So honor. Thank you. And then we have Kelly with us, who is a Qigong teacher and a spiritual teacher as well. Thank you. And of course, our incredible Eileen, who has relentlessly been with us through trying times these past few weeks. And we really appreciate her courage. Absolutely grateful for it that she's here day in and day out. Always there for the group meditation as well as being here. So Caesar is going to join. He is a channel and a medium. So whenever Caesar joins, that will be, I think people are familiar with who Caesar is. So last week we were kind of talking about the 7 spiritual laws of success, and then how would Eckhart apply his teachings to the 7 spiritual laws, right? And then I heard, actually somebody posted at the very end after we were done with the Facebook Live. And then that gave me the idea, along with the fact that Kelly brought up quite a few times. He said there are limiting beliefs and projections that prevent us from following the law, right? So today, what we're going to debunk and demystify is we'll take the law, and each one of you probably look into what do you think is the limiting belief, because this is my most favorite topic. By the way, my printed book is out, so soon enough I will have. Did I? That's the printed book. You cannot see it, but it says Journey Towards the Unknowable, the Infinite and Eternal. And it will be out on the 8th of February. Caesar, we see 2 of you, but that is okay. I'm not going to remove the other one because then it'll cut you off, which happened to April once. So I'm not going to do that to anybody anymore. I will leave the other session up. So limiting beliefs is my favorite topic. And since I've written a book, because that is what I feel is, or I have come to understand, is karmic accumulation, or the conditioned patterns that exist or have existed in humanity for the past 20, 30,000 years, right? And we have spiritual teacher after spiritual teacher. We have Jesus, we have Buddha, we have Lao Tzu doing the Tao Te Ching, we have the Vedas, we have, I mean, you name it, and we have a spiritual teacher, right? Zoroastra, which is the Parsi faith in the Persian set of Sufism. So each teacher is teaching us what is this limiting belief. So the first law was my action is in alignment with cosmic law. So what do you, and this is homework that even the group members that have connected and are on the Facebook Live listening, maybe they can do some homework and provide their insights as well. So in parallel, they can provide the feedback as well. Because, so when is it that my action is not in alignment with cosmic law? So Travis, since you were one of the early ones, you want to get started? when do you think, and when do you see yourself as your action not being in alignment with cosmic law?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, I mean, for me, I feel like there is, you know, the teacher, right? The guru or whatever you want to call it, that to me, in my life, in my world, it, because it isn't limited in any way, it's able to speak to me through any means. So through all of you, through maybe I turn on the TV or the radio, or I'm walking down the road or whatever it might be, and there are signs coming to me. And sometimes they're easier to read, and sometimes they're less easy to read. And but I can say this much, is that the more honest I'm able to be with myself, deep down inside of myself, the better able I am to interpret life's messages to me. And they can come in any form. And sometimes also when they come, we might not understand them right away. Sometimes we're called to do certain things, and it's not until later on that we can see why, or understand more fully why it is that we are to do those things. So, with all that said, this is what I notice when I start to fall out of alignment, because those are all things that would help me to be in deep alignment with life. And so if life is moving this way, I'm going to move right with it. But if I'm not moving in alignment with life, um, I can, I can feel it. There's just a subtle thing inside of me. Part of me just knows. Now, if I don't listen to that part of me, life will start to get a little bit more blunt, because I'm being a little more dense. So life says, okay, well, I guess I'll have to go to extra measure, to make sure that you get this message. And then again, if I'm still not listening, there's some part of me that still knows, but I'm falling further out of alignment. And eventually something might happen, like, maybe I had a time in the summer where I know I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't listening to life. I wasn't listening to that voice inside of me. And I rolled through a stop sign and got pulled over. And I knew it right away. I knew it that morning that something was going to maybe happen, because I knew that I was not listening and cooperating with life. I was being obtuse. I was too caught up in my own egoic trip. And so sometimes, and I was grateful that it was still very gentle. It was something where I got a ticket for rolling through a stop sign, but I was able to go to traffic school and get it off my record. But I needed a whack upside the head to get me back in alignment. So, but amazingly enough, many of us can get things that could be like that are even more glaringly obvious. Is life is saying, hey, we want, this is going to serve you more to move this way, and you keep moving that way. And even still, we can go on and on and on. It's amazing what a human being can do and not listen to life. So again, that's what I notice, is my luck can be through the roof amazing. It's absolutely magical if I'm moving in alignment with life. But I can tell it's that if the clock starts ticking right away and my luck starts running out, my good luck, and then it'll turn into bad luck. And to me, that's how I know, because I'm in this constant dialogue with life, which is myself, really. It is my deepest self or deeper self. And I'm moving into union with that. But things go wrong more, in a word. when I'm out of alignment. They need to. Yeah, yeah, things go wrong. Yeah. It's really ultimately helpful because it's not only helping to get me back into alignment, it's helping me to learn. It's helping me to be more in touch and more sensitive, more empathetic, and more loving, forgiving, to myself, to life, to others. So ultimately, it's a help, but sometimes we need some kind of hard knocks to. So that's what it ends up manifesting as for me, is a little more like those hard knocks when I'm out of alignment. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you. But even to know that something is going to go wrong that day, we have to have enough presence practice, right? Enough presence, because human beings can be born. I was listening to Jay Krishnamurti's some old interview today, right before this Facebook Live, and he was saying that people get born and die, and between born and die, life is full of conflict, right? So, and the reason why life is full of conflict is because the awareness is not there. They just move, do their job, go into work, come back, go into work, come back, 40 years of working, and then you retire. And between born and death, there's just conflict. So beautiful. And you wouldn't believe it, like today's, just to let everybody know, every day is not flawless for all of us. I actually, when I scheduled this meeting on Saturday afternoon or whenever I schedule, I had that same inkling, Travis, that I'm doing something wrong. So I checked both Facebook groups, because not only do I do the meeting posting, I then create an event, right, on the Facebook group. So I checked both, I meticulously checked both Facebook groups. Did all the events get created? Did all the groups get created? I didn't come back into Zoom and check, did I schedule the meeting on the right day? Right? And the meeting was scheduled. I mean, the inkling was there because it's meticulously done in on the Facebook groups, right? The attention was there. The attention, and I kind of knew, and that's why I kept checking. I checked it 3 times on the Facebook groups, didn't check Zoom, and quickly I had to really be nimble today and readjust. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lesson. Louise, you've been away from us, so I'll give the floor to you. Did you want to talk about, how do I know my action is not in alignment with cosmic law?
So it's pretty much what Travis said. I think one of the things that I've really learned a lot, even in this last year, probably more so, is that it's easy to get off of alignment and be taken in. And so what I started to do is just be practicing, being present throughout the day. And so instead of just doing, before I was like doing a meditation in the morning and maybe one mid-afternoon and maybe one at night, but I was still being drawn in, and I could find there was days where I just felt like I had lost it, kind of, so what I started doing was just practicing all day long throughout the day. And the more I've done that, it's there's just a joy, even when there are circumstances that come up that are challenging. I still feel like in the background, this joy or peace. It's a very hard word it's hard to describe, but it's like a joy feeling, a light, joyful feeling. And when the circumstance comes up, I'm able to handle it in a lot better way than I normally, or my old self would have handled things. And so I really believe that by practicing it throughout the day, it's like a muscle. I think I've said this before, you know, you get stronger and stronger, and things don't seem to, I don't know, they just don't seem to be as serious or as bad or negative or whatever as they appear to be when you're really grounded and centered. And even recently, I had a situation where I felt like some anxiety boiling up, coming up, and it was really easy to just let it go. Like, and that was probably the first time I noticed it, that it went so quickly. Usually it's like, I got to sit with it and work through it and, you know, change my thought and all this other stuff. But this time I was able to just, it was just a matter, not even a minute, I don't think, where I just was able to go into presence and just, it just disappeared. So I do think that it's something to consider to, you know, bring it in throughout the day. Like, you know, I do, like sometimes I'm like trying to cook and the kids are talking to me and I'm like, no, 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 you know, bring myself back to being present. So I'll like even turn the stove off and I'll like stop and I'll say, okay, what is it? And I just keep doing that. Like sometimes I'll be brushing my teeth and I'll be doing it for about 3 minutes or longer because I'm so just into brushing my teeth, just doing that one task. And you can feel the presence and the space and the expansion. And you know, you feel this lightness and this joy and peace. And so that's my thoughts on it.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so what I'm hearing is anxiety or also, and this is something that Kelly always says, observe your emotions. Your emotions are going to tell you about the non-alignment. And any emotion that is not loving kindness, compassion, unconditional love is out of alignment, right? So anxiety is that you
Yes.
notice your anxiety and come back into alignment. So
Right.
the tip here would be listen to your emotion constantly.
Yes,
Minute,
absolutely.
present moment to
Yes.
present
Throughout the
moment,
day.
measure
Yeah.
your calibrate. Isn't that what Abraham Hicks says? Calibrate to your emotion. Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Kelly, since I talked about you, did you want to say about what are the limiting beliefs you think to my action is in alignment with cosmic law?
Um, well, this is a great topic. This is something we could probably spend a few hours on, or a few.
Yes, a few sessions. That's why I chose it. We
Yeah.
can go through the laws and talk about it for a few hours.
First of all, I would like to point out that everyone is always in alignment with cosmic law. It just has to do with the energy that you're choosing to align yourself with. You know, because we have fear and we have love and we have darkness and we have light, and we have different aspects of energy and different aspects of expression out there. And everyone is in alignment with cosmic law. It has to do with how present you are and how much you understand what you are aligning with, what you are letting yourself feel, what you are allowing in to your heart space, what you are processing, and how present and mindful and aware you are of the emotional space, the mental constructs that you're working with, the belief structures. Being more in alignment with love, with that beautiful space of the cosmic ocean of the eternal, and what a lot of people like to call the formless, that space that fills our hearts, that we are born from, regardless of where we choose to end up. The more we practice being present and the more we practice being mindful. Louise, I really liked your example of brushing teeth, because that's actually something that I use too. It's sort of like one of those pure personal moments where there's no one else. There's nothing else that you are doing. And there's actually a whole qigong set about like washing the teeth with, and you know, exercising your mouth and stuff like that I learned like years ago, that I was just like, oh, okay, brushing teeth, all right, we're good, this works too, you know. You don't have to make it complicated, but something so simple, and it's something that I've actually used for years and years and years. Every single time I brush my teeth, you know, if I can, I brush my teeth 3 times a day, because it's, you know, morning, noon, and night if I'm at home, because it really does center me, focus me, and really get me to feel my teeth, which ironically, you know, is like they're in my head, but because they're not like up here front of mind literally, and it literally pulls you down closer to your throat or your expression, it is something that is very symbolic and very helpful, and has been very helpful for me to use as an actual awareness discipline. Is actually feeling the brush and following the movements. It's like when I wore a watch for 2.5 years, where it would go off every 5 minutes when I was awake, and I let it buzz on my arm, and I was just like, you know, it got to be such an unconscious thing where I'd turn off the alarm, and I'd go inside, and I'd take a couple deep breaths, and I'd be, you know, realigned and recentered. The more we go inside, the more we practice that level of discipline, the more we amplify, and the more we increase our conscious active participation in our alignment with ourselves, with our hearts, and the more we give ourselves space to feel which energies, which aspects of ourselves we are actually aligning with, whether it is the programming of fear and anger and hate and blah, 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 or whether that's the love and kindness, the compassion, the consideration, the sensitivity to listen, not just to other people, but also especially to ourselves, and to give ourselves that space of self-love. So as soon as you started talking, I was like, trying not to grin like an idiot over here, because it's like, brushing teeth, that's like something that I've used for years and years and years. It's so simple. You know, there are little things where, you know, I do really appreciate Eckhart's description of some of his personal, visceral, physical things that he does to bring himself into alignment, to understand how present he is, where he's like, just touch something, listen to how that feels. It's all about listening. The more you listen to yourself, the more you understand the difference, and you can discern the feelings in the mind, in the heart, of whether or not you are in alignment with love and kindness, or you are stepping out of. And Travis, again, loved what you said about how, you know, those moments of stepping in and out, they're learning experiences. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, yeah, like, again, loved what you said, because it's so true. We have to have those moments where we're not in alignment. You know, rolling through a stop sign, done that. You know, little things that nag at the back of my head, and then 2 weeks later, I'm proven, you know, that little voice is going, yeah, and then I'm proven right 2 weeks, you know, that, or my inner voice is proven right 2 weeks later. It's just like, I knew it, but nope. The big experience for me was the relationship that ended in marriage, that ended in divorce, because for those entire 11 years, and I kid you not, I had my heart basically yelling in my ear, my higher self yelling in my ear with a megaphone going, what are you doing? So that little voice in the back of your head, like Travis, as he said, like, you know, when you're not present, or when you are, you know, put on what you said about not being aligned, like what you know, that feeling about how you had placed the events or the timing of the events that you put on Facebook. Yeah, it's like that feeling is so important. That's why we have these experiences, is so that we can learn. And that's the whole point of everything. And it's, for me, it's like everything gets turned into, like, you know, I have, you know, some of my favorite stones that I always carry with me. And it's like I'm always feeling my present situation through physical contact. Even the arms on the chair that I'm sitting in, part of me in the back of my mind, I'm conscious of it. It's, I use the same space as when I am brushing my teeth. That same space of awareness, of listening to myself, to my heart, to my mind, to everything that I'm feeling. as I'm sitting here with my elbows on the arms of the chair, I'm listening to that at the same time that I'm listening to the space that I am expressing from verbally. So the more you go inside, the more you understand how to discern what real alignment means and what it actually feels like. Not just the concept, but actual, that physical, visceral space, just like when you're brushing your teeth.
Thank you, Kelly. The other thing that I thought about, and I'll move to you, April, was your what you brought up last week was, yeah, I cannot be a basketball player, right? So action against cosmic law is, if you were supposed to be a psychic teacher, then like a psychic medium, then you trying to effort to be a basketball player would not really work. That's action against cosmic law, because cosmic law wants you to be a psychic medium. Correct? So each human should, so I want you to speak, please. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly.
I want to when you put cosmic law like in one sentence, put the definition out there, because I'm getting a sense that some of our listeners don't know what that is. So can you put it in one? I can't, been trying to find the words for one sentence, but can you put it in like?
Cosmic law would be that it was like a universal law that applied to every creature, every manifested, I mean, even to a stone, what is cosmic law, right? Even to a bird, what is a cosmic law of the bird? So all of the manifested world is run through, because we are an expression of the one consciousness, all forms, all of the manifested world runs on a certain law, right?
Go ahead, Kelly, one sentence.
Everything in creation is organized by vibration and frequency. Everything is organized the way a library is, and this is cosmic law. Anything that is
So you
created out
have
of
to
fear.
be in line with your frequency, your set frequency for
Yeah.
your path. Okay,
Yes.
that was my assumption, but I wanted to clear it up because I just get this sense that some people don't understand what that law is. And I kept
Thank
thinking,
you.
how do I put this in one sentence? How do I shorten this?
Perfect.
Make it clear. Okay, so basically what all of us have said is that when we're not centered, when we're not connected to source, when we are not in a, you can say connected, you can say centered, you can say aligned, you can say presence, conscious. But when we are not one with source, we are off. And your actions will be off, your feelings will be off, your emotions will be off. Everything you do will be off. It's the same theory that Abraham Hicks puts out, that you're going to start going down the hill, and that momentum, you're not going to stop because you are not centered, you're not connected. And when you're not connected, then everything else is off. So if I am not centered and I'm not connected, then my interactions with my coworker, I might get a little snappy. I might be a little rude, maybe a little short with a client, because I myself am not in a line with source, right? And I think that's one, how I know that is because I am short, I am not patient, I am not as kind, I am not as loving, I'm not feeling joy. That's how you know. But the limiting belief there, I really think that underlining limiting belief would be, it's the separation, that I am less than. That's the limiting belief. That somehow I'm not connected to, supported by source. That's the limiting belief. I'm less than, or I'm separate. I'm by myself. I'm in this world, fighting this world. I'm fighting the grocery store clerk. I'm fighting Walmart's prices. And so that's the limiting belief. And the guidance system we came in with, which we, by the way, are horrible at dealing with, is our emotions. That is your guidance system. We were born with that guidance system, yet we run from that guidance system. And until you learn to accept that guidance system, because it will tell you when you're not connected to source, it will tell you when you're not in line with cosmic law, you will struggle. When you learn to accept that system, listen to it, and then say, oh, I'm really off. I'm way off. Or I need to breathe. I need to come back in. When you learn to do that, then you will become out of line much less. You will stay connected much more. You will feel like Louise feels, that joy, that happiness. You will feel that much more, like she explained. So to me, that is the key. That is the key. But I wanted to clear up what that law was first, so that everybody kind of understood. It's your alignment with source for your path, your purpose, right? And when you're not in line with that, then you will get the negative emotions, which say, hey, hello, wake up. Or we could get a traffic ticket, right? We could do that, or we could manifest an illness or whatever. So to me, that's what I think. But I think the limiting belief, though, is because we're feeling less than or separate from source.
Beautiful. And thank you for asking me that question and clarifying what alignment is. Eckhart would just call it presence. He wouldn't call it alignment. He has used the word alignment with inner beingness. So you could so this inner being was always there when we were born as a baby. It was there when we were 2 months old. The inner being was there guiding us 3 months old, at 8 months old, at 8 years old. How much ever we said, my father didn't love me, my mother didn't love me, this inner beingness was always loving us, right? So one point was that your inner being was always there with you, constantly providing the guidance or pulling us, like calibrating us back, right? It's pulling us back, saying, no, 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 you're going down the wrong path. No, 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 you're going down the wrong path. And what was the story that Eckhart said? There were some parrots or something that islanders taught them attention here and now for that reason, get into alignment. And that's how each of the emotions is telling us. Anxiety is telling us attention here and now. Anger is telling us attention here and now. The other part you said was, what is the limiting belief that we are not in alignment, the separation? The way Eckhart explains it is that every human being has been born with a sense of lacking in completeness, right? And because there's sense of lacking in completeness, there's some kind of discontent, like unease with this moment, unease with the present moment. They don't want this present moment. They're either in the past or they want like some future. My mom was that way. They want some future. Let me get done with this cooking, like bang the dishes and throw the wok up on the gas stove or throw the food into the wok. But it's done at a very high speed. Let me be super mom and accomplish all this within an hour or two in the morning and then leave for work and come back. But that is not in alignment, right? So beautiful. So the way Eckhart explains is we are born with this low-lying discontent. And once we achieve what Louise is saying, once we achieve that centeredness, there is no longer the discontent, right? We are doing everything joyfully, whether it is like cleaning the toilet or we are brushing our teeth or we are fixing coffee, then it's done with joy. So thank you very much, April and Kelly, for clarifying that. Caesar, did you want to talk about,
Sure. I think it's important to recognize, first of all, that there is a greater intelligence that is at work. And once you are aware of that fact, it is, to me, about, I mean, everybody hit it right on the head. I mean, just if there's a sense of unease, we know we're out of alignment. But to the average person that isn't really aware of the concept and what's at work, they may not really recognize what's going on. We can always recognize it in others, you know, early on in our journeys once we became aware of the greater intelligence at work. Yes. And so having said that, it becomes the practice. When you see it in others, you recognize it in yourself. So you're more easily able to identify that you are not present because of that sense of unease or something to that effect. April touched on it. It's important to break, you know, not let that gain momentum in a sense. But that takes, I think, a degree of knowledge to knowing that there is a greater intelligence at work, and that greater intelligence, we are an extension of that. It is in us, it is around us, it is surrounded by us. It is always working with us, whether we are in alignment with that or present or not, makes up the difference whether or not things are flowing easily for us in life. And that is the indicator. You know, but again, I think it takes a degree of knowledge, at least somewhat, to recognize, you know, what is ultimately happening. Abraham will talk about, you know, we are either deliberately creating or we're creating by default. And probably 80% would say, perhaps that's not true, but them are the ones that are unconscious and just don't understand what's really taking place. And for me, it was 40 something years before I realized that, you know, how the energy of all that is works. So again, I think it's the awareness of what's happening, and it's a practice, as Lois said, constantly. And the, you know, the satori gets a little longer. Your gaps of no mind or no thinking get a little longer for us. And once you taste that, it's hard to go back and not strive for, you know, the ultimate emergence or immersing in presence, because there is such a undeniable peace and joy and just a lightness to it. And so, yeah, I think it's important to be aware of what's happening and do a little research. And, you know, Eckhart touches on it greatly. Thank you, April, for having that explained regarding the laws, or the law, that particular law. And it's just like anything else. It's a law, and when you break the law, you know, sometimes we experience discomfort or unease in some way, and the universe is no different. But it's the awareness that is actually happening, and perhaps you are not in alignment or present, or however you want to word it, to recognize that and then make a course correction.
thank you, Caesar. So why were you in exuberant joy in the morning and wrote me that message?
Well, I just woke up and I was just sitting there in my little world with no thought, and then you came through, and I'm in Facebook jail, so I can't comment on the post. So I apologize to anybody. And I almost instinctively knew it was you for some reason, and I read it, and it just, you know, seeing the post in the morning, that's always
Awesome.
upbeat and feeling good. It's always awesome to respond in that same light, and I was just expressing my feeling at the time, and that carried me through the day. Indeed.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for this segment intending. Beautiful. Eileen, did you want to talk? I know there's a question from Summer, but before that, did you want to talk about when do you feel like your action was not in alignment with cosmic law?
Yeah, some of the words that were actually brought up by others were things that were kind of flowing around in my head anyway. But I feel like if I get that feeling of like anxiety or agitation, where I find that I'm being reactive, which doesn't happen nearly as much as it did, it's actually pretty non-existent. but when I get that like resistance, depending on what kind of resistance, I mean, they're all resistance, but that's when I kind of pause and stop and think for a moment and think, okay, wait a second. Like, I'm obviously not, you were calling it like not aligned, but in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm obviously not accepting the present moment. And now that's why this is like coming up for me or happening, especially when I get to the point of it like cycling. And it's like, okay, wait a second, this, and then that, and then this, and then that. And then I'm like, okay, like rein it in. So I think it really just comes down to any type of resistance feeling. I mean, anxiety, agitation, all of those things, reactivity, they're all some type of resistance to what's, rather than just accepting the present moment for what it is. So I'm definitely a lot better at that now, because a couple of things happened today, and I even, when they were happening, I was like, just breathing through it. And then I was like, all right, I'm moving on to whatever. Like, I just drop it. So.
Awesome. And you bring up a good point. It's actually a profound pointer, Eileen. So not only is the lacking in completeness a limiting belief, these cyclical events are showing us that vibrationally we are stuck somewhere, right? In the loss of alignment, in the lowering of the frequency. So if our inner being was here and we were here with inner being, there wouldn't be any challenge. But because the vibrational frequency is not matching, so in that loss of alignment, now we are co-creating the same event over and over again. That's what Eckhart says. We are in a box. We are in the prison of the mind, right? So what can dissolve the challenge would be looking at within ourselves, vibrationally, what are we holding at that point in time, right? It could be a limiting belief, or it could be an emotion, like we are getting, like the conditioned pattern of anxiety is coming through. So the anxiety is now going to feed into the event and create another anxious event, another anxious event, another anxious event, right? But who was the co-creator? And this is like great, taking responsibility for what is our present moment instead of blaming. The ego always wants to blame, right? Somewhere external, somewhere out there, there's an issue. Oh, it's the government, or it's the institution, it's the CEO of a company, or all these tech industry. But the responsibility is mine. I co-created this. I have anxiety in me that co-created this challenge. So I need to dissolve, take a nap. I mean, Abraham Hicks has a very quick solution. Go take a nap, she says, right? The nap will clear the anxiety. So, but some people cannot. So Summer asks, is alignment part of our intuition? April, do you want to speak to that, since you brought up the alignment with inner beingness? Thank you, Aline.
Yeah, I think that it is part of it. Intuition is that inner sense of knowing. And when you are aligned, then you definitely feel better. But because you are in line, because I always call this alignment our direct telephone to God. It's our direct telephone line to source. So when you are aligned, then of course you're able to quicker and clearer get your messages. So it is similar. It's not the exact same thing, but I'm going to say yes. It is. It is that you can get messages and not be aligned, but I think that you get more clear messages, perhaps more messages when you are aligned.
Thank you. So the second law, let me see what Terry is saying. Terry says, hello, everyone. Sometimes accepting the present moment means recalling where you felt this reactivity in early childhood, noticing the form of it and then detaching from it, don't you think? April, you wanted to start with that? Don't you think that it was in childhood?
Oh, sure. Yes, that's a very good practice because many times when we have childhood traumas that are not dealt with, that are still in the subconscious mind, which is what I always describe as, you have your conscious mind that says, I'm here, I'm sitting in a chair, this is what I'm doing, I'm talking right now, let me go make something, let me whatever. Your subconscious mind holds all your garbage and it drives the bus. It drives the bus. So your conscious mind is actively doing something, but your subconscious mind is the one that's really driving the bus, the car, the boat. So you can have a reaction to an event, and it can be a subconscious reaction, meaning you will just react. You won't really understand why. And it is because of things that happened in your past or your childhood. So when you want to be in the present moment, you can recall or connect that to something that happened in your childhood. You do want to detach. I don't normally use the word detach. What I like to do is I like to move that into a new space. I like to move that traumatic event into a new space where it's not hurting you. So it could be called detaching, but it's more of a moving it into a space where we know it's present because we can't necessarily eliminate the event. I can't eliminate the fact that you fell off the swing at 7. I can't eliminate that event, but I can move it into a space where it doesn't hurt you, right? I can heal it and I can move it into that space where it no longer becomes something that you react to. So it's different from detaching. It's more of a healing and a resting and a letting go of. So, but overall, I'm going to say yes to the question. The overall is yes.
So what I would think is, okay, somebody is yelling at us right now in this present moment, right? Verbal abuse. In this present moment, somebody is yelling at us. So as Terry says, we go back into childhood, maybe at 4 years of age, we held the, somebody yelled at us at 4 years of age, at 6 years of age, at 8 years of age, and now we are holding resentment. So I feel to let go of our limiting belief, the first 4 chapters of A New Earth are very necessary. Like we have to almost get it to the cellular level because he talks about letting go of resentments and grievances, right? Eckhart talks about letting go in chapter 3, I think, of A New Earth. He talks about letting go of resentment because that resentment of 3-year-old or 4-year-old was what created this when we are 20 or 30 or whatever that person's age is, right? As an adult, now somebody's verbal abuse is occurring. It is not so much as detachment, it is more like we have to generate compassion for the other. We have to go back to the 4-year-old and whoever we had the resentment for. Now we generate compassion that we totally understand, because I know I did that with my mother, that I completely and totally understand why there was so much unconsciousness, because her mother, which I was terrified of my grandmother, which is her mother, right? My maternal mother, grandmother. So I knew what she had experienced. So there is a natural compassion that arises when we are in presence. And that is what heals us.
Yeah, so Terry says reducing the charge. It is reducing the charge, but it's even more than reducing the charge. You're actually going to heal that spot because one, you're going to develop that compassion not only for the mom, the grandma, the dad that screamed at you, you're going to develop the compassion for yourself too as that child. So there is no more pain associated with getting screamed at, and you're able to step back into alignment, and you're able to put that space, that presence, that consciousness, awareness, and go, oh, this person is acting, they're yelling, but you now know that you are safe. You are in your safe presence. You're in, so you don't get the same 4-year-old reaction anymore. And that's what I mean by we're going to move it. I can't eliminate it, but I can move it. So, and I am now safe. I am healed. I'm safe. I'm one with presence with God. I know who I am, my worth. And I can allow this person to yell at me and not take that in. I don't have to have any reaction. And I can say, I'm going to go now. I'm going to have a good day. You know,
Yes.
you can do that. So yeah, it's different from detaching. But it can be done. You can totally do it. I've done it with my traumas. Are there things that still trigger me here and there? Sure, because I'm a person. I'm a human. There are still those times where, and I'll stop and I'll go, oh, how'd that happen, right? But I think that's a forever kind of thing. I think, remember Eckhart even said he was at the grocery store and he got irritated because it was taking so long. But like everybody has said tonight, or you can do the watch where it buzzes you. And like Louise said, the more you practice this and the more you practice this unconditional love, which is what source is, the faster you get into alignment, the faster you get there.
Perfect. Thank you, April. So the next law was the law of least effort. So the law of least effort says my action receives maximal benefit with minimal effort, right? So what is the limiting belief that makes us, there's a lot of efforting involved in what we are doing, right? Louise, I'll start with you. When do I just flow? When does, do you all want me to put it in the chat, what the law is so that you can respond to it? So. And so what is going to be my limiting belief that will not allow me to have achieved maximal benefit with minimal effort, which is the law of least effort, right?
Right. Well, I do believe that we're conditioned to believe that we have to work hard, that we have to work constantly, you know, to achieve things. And, you know, there's kind of like this idea that we graduate from high school and we go to college and then we get married and we have kids and blah, blah, blah. And so we believe those things. And so if we don't, so I think a lot of times if things aren't going our way or we aren't achieving what we want, we feel that we need to put more effort and we need to work harder and maybe get a degree or extra training or, you know, because I think overall humans are just conditioned to believe that. And what I have found with this type of practice is I am doing a lot less than I've ever done in my life because things just happen. Like I feel that since I've made these shifts, and and shifts do continue to happen as I'm growing too in this practice, but I just feel that you don't, like, I remember at a time in my life, like if I wanted something really bad, like I would like, oh, please God, and I'd like really pray about it. And I'd like feel like I had to, maybe get an extra job to pay for it, or, and I was like feeling like I needed all of this to make it happen. Whereas now I feel like I don't really do anything. I put my request out there, but I don't continue, begging for it and asking and finding ways to get it. I just put it out there, and I feel that if it's meant to be, then it will happen, or maybe another form of it may manifest, or or maybe it will manifest what I want, and then I might even find out that that's not really what I wanted. But I do think that the more we're in alignment, the more we're connected to source, things flow to us, and the things that we really do desire and want might not come right away, but they do eventually come. And that's been my experience with it. And so there's not, even this whole homeschooling with the kids, like, I have friends who are homeschooling, and they're like, I do reading from 9 to 10 and then math from 11 to 12, and they have this whole thing. And I just like, if they takes them all day to do an art history class that we're working on, then so be it. Like, I just feel like that's what we need at the time. And so I just feel like it just, whatever I need or we need, it just comes, and I feel connected enough to know that that's the right thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Louise. That's like the perfect example for this law, that mankind and it may be because of the Industrial Revolution, because we are so much into like doing the production kind of production line, right? That we want to do. And we think that that is a limiting belief in every human, that we need to constantly do. And then the loss is the beingness in the doing, right? Then we are not aligned. Then we are just doing. And then we are efforting. I know in 2016, where I probably worked 100-hour weeks and almost the whole year, maybe earn like $20,000, $30,000 more that year, was the year that I made and this is the combination of my action is aligned with cosmic law and the law of least effort. I'm efforting too much. So I took a step back and I said, I'm not going to work those 100-hour weeks. So I started taking a lower position in my company, not push, right? Because you can push and reach the top ladder, but then the top ladder also means that you're working 100-hour weeks and then you're not taking care of your health. Everything else is going down. And I just started 5 years back, I had just started the Facebook group. So I could feel the alignment, that cosmic alignment, right? That the alignment was that I needed to dedicate more time towards the Facebook group, which I've done for the past 5 years. So more and more energies went towards the Facebook group. And the intention always has been there for 5 years, that peace, harmony, and abundance for all. So thank you. So that's how humans can change as well, right? That if you think that you're efforting too much, then change what you're doing. The how matters. How you do what you do matters. What you're doing doesn't matter. So change what you're doing.
And right, and have a trust that it will be done, that what needs to be done will be done.
Beautiful. Yes. And I tell all, I mean, I've told Eileen the same thing. What is 1 year in an 80, 90-year-old life of a human being, right? If they lost this year in schooling, then yeah, let them play. Let them go outside and play, right? We already are under a
Yeah.
pandemic. Why do parents want to be so focused that my child needs to study and go to school and struggle with, oh, are they clean, not clean? They're sending them to school. Why that stress, right? Unnecessary stress on parents. Just let it be. If they lose a year, they lose
And
a
even
year.
on, and I even think even on, children, because like Dylan, my 10-year-old, he's, been diagnosed with autism, and last year was just like so stressful for him. Like he would just come home and this year, like he is so calm and so peaceful, and I can just feel it in him. Like there's no stress. Whereas last year I felt him, the stress coming from him, and he's just so much happier. Like also he was stuttering a lot, and he hasn't stuttered at all this whole year. I'm letting them pick whatever they want to study, and so like I feel like they've grown like
Good.
so much, and I've pulled back instead of added more and worked harder. I've pulled back, and it's just kind of unfolding.
And that also gives you the joy of knowing that that action that you're doing is in alignment with cosmic law, because it's bringing joy to the kids. Their behaviors are improving, right? So that's another example for everyone out there, that the more we do action that is in alignment with cosmic law, in alignment with our inner beingness, we are we're nourishing the other's inner beingness as well, right? We're bringing more of their inner being out
Absolutely.
than their stress. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much. Grateful for the example. Travis, did you want to talk about law of least effort and speak to it?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Well, this is a funny one for me because I feel like it's something that I really, um, it feels like a lesson that is right up at the front for me that I really need to absorb and learn. Because there's something I've noticed in me that I'm so excited and happy and joyous about, and it's this quality of devotion in me. And I whatever you want to call it, this higher power, or the deep I, whatever it is, it brings me so much joy to offer myself over to it, to put myself in that kind of service position, of kind of humble servitude, and this open willingness to do. I would do anything um, that life would have of me to do, because that's my greatest joy, is to give of myself, and that's my greatest gift. And so, um, and it's a really funny thing because I can see in me right now, it feels very clear. There's a deep intuitive sense that through my my fitness goals, my love of music, and of meditation, and speaking around these timeless truths, that through dedicating and devoting myself to these things wholeheartedly, it'll take shape in a way beyond that which I could even imagine. And but it's a funny thing because I get in my head a little bit, and I can find myself getting a little frustrated, not knowing what to do, not knowing if I should, go deeper into music production, learning how to produce my own music on the computer, or if I should just focus on writing songs and singing, and because that part makes me feel so good when I sing. And I've also been in this moment where I'm going, oh, should I continue leading a meditation group? I don't know. I love doing that so much too. So there's a part of me that's kind of unsure and swirling around. And sometimes I do get into these modes where I'll work too hard. And I know that's not the way. It's lately, you know, I've just been, there's been so much of the kind of Indian and Hindu interpretations of these timeless teachings coming into my world in the last couple of years. And so one thing I've been sitting with a lot is and I'm not sure if you know, Poonam, but because I don't know if I can remember all three words exactly, but there's sattvic, right? Which is that law of least effort in a way. It's not too wound up and creating this excess of chaotic energy within oneself, which is that would be rajas, I guess, is the more extreme. And then I think it's tamas, is that what it is? I'm not sure. Would be more in the realm of like lethargy and just not even giving oneself to life all too much at all. I kind of think of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, or so, you know, it's like, this is too hot, this one's too cold, this one's just right. And so somewhere between lethargy, which could maybe be called yin, a more passive, or the tamas, or the rajas, which could be called yang, the more masculine, more active, which is very obvious, bless you, April, that there's an excess of masculine energy in the world, and at the moment, collectively, we're more in that realm of work, do it. That's real character. To work in excess in this way, it's like a value to us, but in this weird short-sighted way, because it has a burnout factor, and it makes your mind chaotic. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. And so for the meditation teaching and the music, for me, I have to reference what, you know, I've had these fitness goals that are pretty specific for about 15 years now. And I feel like I'm right at the cusp of attaining them, because what I've done is I've just work really hard, and I sway over here. I work really hard, and then inevitably it goes back over this way, and then I drop everything, and so I'll end up going back and forth. And so lately, what I've been doing, I'm not working out as much. I'm not working out as hard. I put a lot of focus on recovery. I'm just eating healthy and eating light, but I've had times where I'm willing to eat, 1,000 calories a day or something and work out a ton, and I'm delirious. I can't even think straight because I'm starving myself. I've tried all these things. And so now I'm finding myself in this way where it really is, it's with minimal effort. I'm just eating what I ought to be eating. I exercise a little bit, and I'm watching, the fat shrink away and the muscles build up. And it's easier than it's ever been.
Beautiful.
And so I'm hoping that, or not, I'm not even hoping, I know deep down inside of myself that by and by, as these practices set in more areas of my life, that in those areas that matter so much to me, and because I know intuitively that they will be so instrumental to my spiritual and personal development, like the music and the meditation, that I'll be able to apply the same things there, where I'm not overworking myself, and then the pendulum swings back, and now I got to take a big break, and then everything dwindles back down, and then I start over again. It's like, if you want to grow your garden, you don't want to overwater it or underwater it. You don't want it to have too much sun and burn the leaves. It just needs a fair amount of the things it needs, and then the growth can happen on its own, perhaps.
Thank
but
you,
this
Travis.
this is a lesson for me. I need to write this down and look at it every day for a few days or something.
So it almost is like I was saying, right, Travis? In 2016, I made the conscious effort to move my intention to be more spiritual, that is my primary purpose, right? Spirituality to me is the one and only thing. So to support that, I need to do my own personal meditation. So that takes top priority. I know we need to work out. I know, like, then if you add all the I knows, right? That we need to work out, we need to do this, we need to do that. That just adds on, right? So what you need to do is focus on one thing and only one thing, your music. Everything else takes secondary importance to it. Whether you eat, I mean, you can eat healthy to maintain weight, right? But the physical, if your vehicle is prepared to do music, and that's where you feel, don't let that intention, any thought pattern in your mind, like it could be a thing in your back of your mind saying, like, is it Steven Tyler, who looks very handsome, and he's whatever 60, 70, and he still looks really built and very strong and very athletic, right? Very athletically built. You know who Steven Tyler is? Like, and they're good looking, right? If that is in the back of, because I'm in the music industry, I need to look good looking, right? I need to build my body. Don't let that take you away from your music. Your first thing will be music. I
Sure.
will,
No,
I will do my efforts just on music, 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 music. Now everything takes secondary. If I have time, yeah, I'll work out. If I cannot work out today, then that's because you are also holding a job, right? You're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
work. So already your music is shrunk. Your time to dedicate, you should be doing 8 hours of music. Does that
Well,
make sense?
yeah, I mean, right now I'm away working overtime for the rest of this month probably. So, but the thing is that, I mean, I don't want to go into my personal thing too much. I want to stay on topic with all of these things, but um, so I don't really know exactly what to say other than I appreciate this conversation because it's very helpful for me. So, um,
So
but
to me, everything else falls away. Like, I don't need to cook. I don't need to. I mean, I haven't gone to the Indian store
well,
in the past.
this is what it is that I have a vision. It's like a light that takes over the entirety of my mind's eye or something. It's just so brilliant. And um, there are these there are multiple kind of components to it. So the music is a part of something that I'm surrendering to. I'm watching it all come together. Because there are other parts too that it would just be too much to mention. And so if I'm living in surrender and I can let it all happen, and not think too much, but just be guided, then it can all unfold because I, even though I see the vision, I don't know entirely what it is, and so um, because it's that's the thing, is there's no amount of explaining it that I could ever do that anybody would ever understand. It's only once it's manifested, once it has come to, then people will go, oh, that's what he was all excited about or hung up on, and sometimes troubled by, but mostly not. I mean, I mostly, if anything ever feels like a chore, I don't do it. I'd rather go for a walk with my friend who I work for here. If anything feels like a bother, I can't do it too long before I have to remember my that rekindle that beautiful flame of joy, and because that's why I'm here, beyond any purpose to serve, is to um, be the light and watch that light, touch everyone around. That's my purpose above anything. So anyhow, I'll leave it at that.
Because it requires an intensity, and it's not just for you, Travis. I'm using you as an example, but it's for everyone that is, because quite a few people on the group meditation have said they want to write books, right? Once you make the decision, I want to write, what Eckhart says is sit with your pen and paper, like dedicate your time. Like, yeah, you have a job, maybe 8 to 5 you do the job, or 7 to 6 you do the job, but wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and sit with that paper so that you can write a few sentences. Because without that dedication, right, without putting your intention into it, things won't manifest. It'll just be something that we keep thinking about, and not actually. So the action has to be in alignment with our inner being. Our inner beingness is pulling us towards the music, and we are not listening. We are going, oh, I need to go work out for 2 hours so that I can build muscles and I can be strong, and I need to go running. And then 2 hours could have been spent, like you could have worked out for a half hour and spend another hour and a half on, maybe distributed between the between the meditation and the music, right? Let's say 10 tasks, right? So it's something like that, because people get so distracted. And that's why I was using the example for April, right? When April said, I want to be a basketball player, because every human's inner beingness is showing them what they need to be doing, right? But we are not listening, because the tape in the head will say, I need to be I'm a psychic medium, but I want to be a basketball player, and we're efforting towards being a basketball player, and we're not even good at that, right? We don't make it to the NBA or end up whatever the basketball association is for women, right? I don't even make it to the NBA, and here now I'm getting frustrated with life because I'm not being what my vision is, which is the basketball player. So that was the intention of setting that, what is the action in alignment with cosmic law as well. So perfect, thank you. Let's move. Eileen, did you want to talk about the law of least effort? Efforting?
I don't think I have anything to add. I know that a few things came up along the way that really resonated with me. I know Louise was talking about, that we're kind of programmed to think that we need to work hard. And I know that that's how I was raised, that we should be hard workers. Prided myself on that. But I do think that we might not realize it, but after going through this process, that we do receive maximum benefit from minimal effort. I like the example that has happened to me many times where I'll forget something. I'll be thinking about something that I need to do, or I need to not forget, and suddenly it just disappears. And then you sit with it, you do nothing, and it just comes back to you. But if you're sitting there and perseverating on it, and I can't remember what it is. What was I doing? What was I doing 5 minutes ago? What was I doing before that? What was I doing before? You don't get the result that you're looking for. You don't remember what it is that you are trying to remember. And so that comes to mind for me often. Just let it go. What's meant to be will be. If I'm meant to remember what this is, it'll come to me without the striving and resistance. Just let it go. So that's it.
Beautiful. Wu Wei? Sitting, doing nothing. Thank you, Eileen. Beautiful example. It brings me back to Summer's question where she asked, how do we know that we are in alignment with cosmic law? And it goes back to when you become quiet, like how Eileen is saying, then the input from source comes as insights, intuition. It comes as imagination. It comes as in the dream state. It may come as dream. You could dream your solution to your problem can come through as a dream. One of the things, going back to this book, The Nature of Personal Reality. So again, the Industrial Revolution has stopped us from, like, how many people had this thing that we cannot sit in a chair and just sit, right? So what Seth says is daydreaming has been taken out of the fact that you can sit and daydream and it is okay to daydream, right? Is out of like a limiting belief in the mind of humans that they cannot sit and daydream. But the daydream will actually bring your vision into life, right? Because if you sit and vision it, then it may play out and actually manifest. But we don't allow ourselves the time to sit and daydream. How much do we sit and do nothing? Like what Caesar is saying, right, Wu Wei? So let's go to you, Caesar. Wu Wei.
Okay, I find the mute button. Yeah, paying attention to the impulses that are being nonstop provided to us. You have to be present to be aware of them impulses and realize. And then Travis, I just loved how you broke that down. And yeah, it's important to be guided, yeah, but it's also important to realize them impulses to allow yourself to take that direction and get on course with it. I definitely believe that. Yeah, actionless or effortless doing for sure. Very important, along the way. Bruce Lipton, God, there's just so much, it starts off early as a paradigm. What was implanted within us by the age of 7. It brings me back to a book that I started to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, in that, it's all about conditioning and what your beliefs are going into or coming into this world, as though you have the idea that you can make it and you can be successful versus, coming from not so of a wealthy family, the idea that this is it, and if I strive to be this middle class, that's the best it's going to get here. But, also realizing along the way that none of that is important. To be rich in spirit is worth more than any, money or material things you can put in front of a human once they're awakened. What else do they want to say here? Yeah. Something Jerry Hicks always used to speak on, and I loved it, was that he never really told anybody what he was trying to obtain as a goal per se, as a manifestation, because we know thoughts are energy. And once you tell somebody what you're trying to accomplish, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, even if they don't say anything to you, but once they actually vocalize it and just plant that little resistant thought in your head, even though you're not paying attention to it, your subconscious is the paradigm saying he's right, maybe I really can't do this. That's really important. And whether or not they vocalize it and they just think the thought that, good luck, buddy, I know it's not going to happen. Well, that's out there, and that works against you as well, putting you on the other end of the stick that you don't want to be at. So I do think it is important. I try to live by that too, trying to do something. I just keep it to myself anymore, and allow it to be. And then you don't really have to tell anybody. Or I don't anyways. I just don't feel, and I used to want to be like, a rock star. Let's say I've been playing drums for a long time, and Travis and I've been pulled in that direction, and it is beautiful, and you definitely got to go where you're pulled. But over the years, I just feel like I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm just doing it. I'm just going where I'm going. I'm enjoying writing a book. So obviously that's one thing, but it's the direction that I'm going. It is what it is. I'm just kind of going through this thing almost aimlessly anymore. I know my sense of inner purpose, and I'm totally good with that. And whatever is the expression of that comes outward, Perhaps it's in these conversations, through this platform and through my daily occurrences with people. I don't know, and I'm okay with that. It feels good, and that's just it. Just the easiness, the lightness, the flow. Is just everything. It's not about working hard. It's about having less to obtain more. The paradox, just realizing what's important, how you do, not what you do. Like you said, Poonam is absolutely key as far as the effortless, obtaining that law. So
Things will unfold, Caesar, for everyone.
Indeed.
They just
Only
automatically, the universe responds, right?
Totally. I'm enjoying the journey.
Perfect. Yeah, going back to your Sattvic, Travis, it's Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. And it's like in Ayurveda, they're like three different body types, or internal vibration as well, right? And Sattvic is more like what the diet of medical medium is. It's very plant-based diet. Like you cannot eat garlic, you cannot eat onion is considered tamasic, I think. So you cannot eat onion, you cannot eat garlic, more plant-based. Rajasic is the pleasure, people who get pleasure, right? They're very much into pleasures. I need to have the richest kind of food with lots of cream and lots of nuts and cashew, the most expensive nuts, right? Pine nuts, and that's the Rajasic behavior. And Tamasic is more like the chili eating kind of behavior, like very abrasive kind of behavior. Interesting, very interesting. And so what they believe is a Brahmin who becomes aligned with, like a Brahmin is a human that becomes aligned with what April was saying, completely aligned with source, which is with the Paramatma, right? Is the one that leads a sattvic lifestyle in food, in behavior, in like very would be constantly centered lifestyle is the sattvic lifestyle. So thank you for bringing that up. I think Kelly needs to wrap up, and because April has a homework day, right? Kelly, you want to wrap up on, and we'll do the next law. This is beautiful, right? Like hopefully everybody out there is getting what is the human doing in their limiting belief, right? That is going to prevent them from actually the manifestation as well. So hopefully this is helping everyone. We'll start again next week. But Kelly, you want to wrap up the least effort? What is the limiting belief?
Sure. Well, April mentioned the concept earlier. Oh shoot! I just lost my train of thought. Great. The limited belief in terms of my action receives the maximum benefit with minimal effort. If we hold a belief in our energy field that we are less than, there we go. That's what you're mentioning before. If we hold a belief structure that we are not deserving, that we are not worthy, that we are not capable, that we are not able to be successful, that's going out into the universe, and that's what will come back. And this is also, I believe, the whole point of what Eckhart talks about when he talks about cosmic law, because what you hold on to, the energy that you hold in your system, in your belief structures, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is what will go out and is what will come back. And this is why being able to be present, being able to understand your ego, being able to be aligned with your heart and understanding what you are feeling, being able to go inside is so important, because that is what gives you the ability to discern what it is that you believe in and why, and how to go backwards through your past, track back through everything that you've done in your life to that origin point, and to disassemble that origin story so that you can consciously, actively participate in rewriting your personal story and your own narrative. And this is how we change the energy. This is how we change our vibration. And this is how we heal and integrate and assimilate anything that we've held on to, a belief structure. Oh, well, it's like that's bad, I shouldn't look at it. It's like, no, we need to look at everything. Absolutely everything needs to be looked at, past, present, and future. All of those concepts, all of those stories that we're telling ourselves. It's essential to understand how to discern the different qualities of feeling, of the energy, of our belief systems that we hold within ourselves, so that we can actively participate in our story and not let the programming run our lives. This is why being present is so important. This is why understanding cosmic law is so important, why having these pieces of information as context is so essential, because you need to research yourself. You need to understand why this is happening, why this feeling when this happens, why this story runs through my head when that happens. Why is the sky blue? Because, well, gee, that's a whole other ball of wax. Understanding that effort is also a story is really, really important. Effort is determined by our belief systems and the structure of our belief systems. And oftentimes it takes a huge crisis, event, situation in our lives where control is absolutely and utterly removed from the equation, for us to realize that, oh, this happened, and I really had nothing to do with trying to control the outcome. It just happened. When we begin to experience moments like that, where we have things happen without our control, without us projecting onto a situation the desired outcome, even if we have a strong preference, understanding that the reason why a lot of things do not happen is because we are attached to a desired outcome, and we are trying to control through mental projection the desired outcome happening in a very specific way. When we can step back into ourselves and observe the story of like, oh, I want this. And like, well, yeah, Johnny Depp would be nice. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind a date with Johnny Depp. It's like, dude, you still have that pirate costume in your trunk of your car. Can you, like, I just want to take a selfie. Come on, you know? Understanding that having strong preferences for an outcome is totally all right, but understanding that the judgment of ourselves for not achieving a very specific ideal is one of the main things that causes things not to happen, and is one of the main things that our ego uses as fuel against us to control us and to control our ability to align with ourselves and to align with our hearts and to actually feel beyond our limited belief structures. And to understand that the maximal benefit or the maximal outcome happens when we least expect it, because we're not expecting it, because we're not trying to control it, because we're not trying to like push it out there and going, no, it has to look like this. When we understand that we can step back and love the simple reality of someone being in our lives or something being a part of our lives. You know, music, writing, video, martial arts, qigong. I've had to let go of martial arts and my qigong practice many times over. The deeper and deeper I saw some of my own personal attachment, and especially when I realized that I had this ideal concept of myself as a teacher, having a bricks and mortar school with, you know, mats and classes and stuff on the walls and all this and all that, and realizing that I really like teaching online. And I really appreciate not having to deal with having an actual physical location to take care of and to manage. I mean, gosh, especially right now. I mean, if I had actually gone through with, you know, a few years ago, trying to have an actual bricks and mortar school, a physical location a few years ago, I would be, you know, in a really tight spot right now. So, you know, there's an understanding of like how, like, you know, looking back and realizing how much my mental perception was projecting this ideal to try and convince me that this was necessary as a future. And then to let go of it and now be able to look back in hindsight and go, wow, holy smokes. That was, you know, a real push for an ideal, a real attachment. I was sort of going, but even though it was there, I could still feel the space of not needing it. And I was able to go inside and connect with that space of not needing a school and go, okay, this is just the way things are right now. And, you know, the benefit to that has been immeasurable, because then my dad had his car accident. And I was able, because I had no place that I had to look after, I had no school with, you know, multiple classes to look after, I'm able to look after my dad, connect with my dad, learn to love my dad in completely new ways, and have this wonderful new relationship with my father. So being able to go inside and be able to be present with ourselves, being able to listen to that voice, like the voice that sort of yelled at me for 11 years when I was in that relationship that ended in marriage and divorce. That voice that I've known since I was a little child, you know, that would always tell me when I was telling myself, you know, stories that weren't true when I was a little child. You know, so going back to childhood is really, really important. Being able to look at those spaces, being able to go backwards is super, super important. Fourth graders, love kids. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. I'd be up for that. I'd totally be up for that. Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to do that, I'm totally down.
I messaged him and said he should come to my class.
Cool. You know, opportunities like honestly, what Eileen just did right there, just like I should come to her class. I'm like, cool, awesome, right on.
Is that allowed, Eileen? Can he?
I have to find out, but I think so. I have to find out, but I think
Okay.
so.
Hey, if it's doable, that would be a lot of fun. You know,
That's your intention manifesting right there.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, and what all of us are doing right here is just learning to enjoy this space that we share, and learning to feel this space that we share, and to support this space of understanding and sharing and collaboration. And we oftentimes get lost in our ideal situation and want to project it and move it forward through mental projection and manipulation of co-creating through mental projection is very different than co-creating through allowance and support and love. Very, very different spaces. This is why being present, this is why learning how to feel and listen especially is super, super important. And the real big key to being able to not just understand cosmic law or how it works, but to feel it inside.
So the other aspect that that came to my mind, Kelly, as you were saying, and Caesar was appreciating that this interaction happened between Eileen and you, Kelly, is a lot of humans actually. Eckhart has a little excerpt where he says people don't recognize other people's success, right? They feel bad, like when another is receiving success, then they'll feel bad about it, like as though something was taken away from them, even though that person may have been recognized for their effort. They may be doing the effort, right? And they were recognized, but we, instead of appreciating that effort, which I just saw, like it's so beautiful to see that Caesar is kind of like loving this flow of manifestation coming through. Caesar is like encouraging. People cannot see it because it's going through Zoom chat, but Caesar was encouraging Kelly and Eileen. So in that, so that can be a limiting belief that I cannot recognize another person's success. The other thing I see that is very, very prevalent in, I mean, has been when I was a student growing up, was competition. How much do we get into this competing mode because of this? First, I'm like the top most person in my engineering college that I got the best marks. So everybody looks up to you, right? Hey, she topped her university engineering school. She topped her university engineering school, right? And people like start to build an identity of you around being intelligent. They just assume, they don't know that all this person did was sit in by rote, like memorize something and regurgitate it out, right? And then that's why they topped their university or got straight A's or whatever it may be. It has no comparison to their intelligence, but society believes that way. So the competition, competing, so these two laws, the action is alignment with cosmic law, and law of least effort also says, I'm going to believe in collaboration. Look at how all of you are collaborating right now, right? I will believe in co-creating. And then you get the co-creator, you get Eileen to ask you a question that, hey, Kelly, can you come to our class?
Yeah.
Real quick, thank you, Kelly. Thank you for that creative input.
If I can just add from my point of reference from the martial arts world,
Mhm.
when I started learning Bagua Jang, the art that I focused on the last 20 years,
Mhm.
a lot of it is solo work. And one of the things that I realized very quickly is that unless someone has actually trained in it, even for a little bit, there is no way to actually understand it, because it is very different than virtually every other martial art out there. And it was profoundly humbling, physically challenging in a way that I never, ever, ever considered possible. And when I started teaching, I'm going to get all teary-eyed here. When I started teaching it, I developed such a profound level of gratitude and huge respect for my teacher, because I began to understand how difficult it was to break down even some of the simplest stuff into digestible pieces and to get people to do even just basic drills. And like after class, I would be in awe. I would be in awe of my teacher and just be so grateful. And what happened in my classes, instead of trying to be the teacher, what I've ended up doing is asking people how they feel about what we're doing and how to best collaborate with my students to create the best possible learning environment. Instead of trying to be, you know, on a pedestal and being like the teacher, it's just like, no, it's like blah, 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 blah. My joy comes from collaborating with my students and talking with them and understanding what they are wanting to learn and why, so that I can best serve them. And yeah, profoundly humbling. And you know, the gratitude and the appreciation for realizing how much my teacher collaborated with us. And I had no idea, because back then my mind was still in karate mode of, like, you know, the hierarchy, and realizing with Bagua, no, it's just a flat system. There is no, all it is like someone just got a few more years on you. It's just like, it's all challenge, it's all collaboration, and it's all communication.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to real quick go to April. April, do you have anything on limiting belief around law of least effort?
I think that, no, I think we already addressed it. The core limiting belief that I think runs central through life is one, that we're separate. And that is because of the veil that we come through, that we're separate. And the other one is that we're not good enough. We're not worthy, we're not good enough. And then the next one from that is that we are not loved, or we're not lovable. So it all boils down to that basically we are some way, some form not worthy. We're not worthy. And if we can correct that belief, if you can change those beliefs, that's usually what I work on the most with people, is changing those core beliefs, then your whole life will really change. The moment that I realized that I had this innate worth, because I am part of Source, so therefore I have innate worth, that was the start of my freedom.
There's another belief that I see very common in humanity is, and in Nature of Personal Reality, he writes it as a sentence. He says, my life is full of sorrows, right? And then we wear it as a badge of honor. The sorrow becomes the badge of honor, right? The victim story. So Eckhart says, don't complain, don't fault find in other people, right? That's the aspect of the ego where you're complaining about somebody and you're putting them less than. And that's why I said the first 3 chapters, if somebody got the first 3 chapters of A New Earth, this is where he talks about complaining and then using it as a victim identity and making it a victim identity. And then, so not worthy, my life is, I'm going to wear my sorrow. In chapter 4, he talks about unhappiness as a role, right? That is this limiting belief that my life is full of sorrows. So it is that when you are aligned with your inner beingness, you're going to bring infinite, I mean, this cosmos has infinite abundance. So where you're going to get aligned with inner beingness and bring abundance to yourself and to this planet, we are in that, what April is saying, I'm not worthy and I don't have enough. So we are manifesting the lack. We are manifesting the I don't have enough, right? And then I'm constantly going paycheck to paycheck and not having enough. So the alignment, presence, awareness, right? We'll move on to the next 3 3 laws of success. and talk about their limiting beliefs. So get ready next week. It's going to be a beautiful week, right, Caesar? Segment in 10. It's going to be full of exuberant joy, exhilarating. We're going to enjoy it. And hopefully people are applying this and actually talking about it so that they can dislodge these beliefs and bring abundance, right? Because the power is within you. The power is in your presence, in your alignment with inner beingness. Have a good night, everyone. Honor and a privilege. Absolutely grateful. Many blessings. Take care. Take care, everyone out there, too. Thank you.